Hey, what's up? I got some more lore content for you guys. Today I'm joined by LolTroll, who has cooked up some fan-made champion cards for us to look at. Basically, he took Hearthstone Legendaries and translated them into champion cards for Legends of Runeterra. I'm going to be giving my live reaction to the cards, gauge how powerful they would be in lore, while also guessing how strong they currently are in Hearthstone. Before we get into it, make sure to drop a sub to both of our channels and drop a like if you like this kind of content. Also make sure to watch to the end for a link to part 2 of this collab. With that, let's get right into it. And we're going to be starting off with a really exciting one, Ragnaros the Fire Lord, which I know is an iconic card in Hearthstone. So he is going to be translated to an 8 mana 8/8 immobile, which is already really interesting. He can't attack nor can he block. At the end of your turn, deal 8 damage to a random enemy or the enemy nexus. Level up, I've dealt 16 damage. So I see we're already starting off with the Hearthstone RNG of sometimes Ragnaros can randomly just shoot the enemy nexus. That's absolutely insane.
Exactly.
You know what's crazy about that is 8 damage is almost half of an entire Nexus.
Yeah.
So that'd be absolutely insane.
Yeah. In Hearthstone you have like 30 health, so it's more of a third. But in Runeterra it would be like half nearly.
Oh yeah, so there's some mechanics in Legends of Runeterra where you can copy cards and have multiple of them on the board at the same time. So the main strategy, you put Ragnaros down and then like have a couple copies of him, and then round end he just shoots the enemy nexus for lethal immediately, which would be absolutely hilarious. Okay, so when he's level 2, he's now a 9/9, gains the +1/+1, very standard stat increase. At the end of your turn, deal 8 damage to a random enemy and the enemy nexus, so now it's a guaranteed. Holy! To level him up, he just needs to deal 16. Okay, so this is really, really interesting. I think he'd be good in a strategy that wants to like mana ramp and just play him out as early as possible, because you're assuming Ragnaros comes down on 8, he has to shoot twice, then he levels up, then he gets the very powerful effect. I think it'd be a lot faster just to like cheat him out, and then he'd actually be kind of decent. So I think in terms of like, if he was directly translated to lore like this, he'd probably be a mid strategy, but with a lot of really fun gimmick potential, right? He'd have some good meme decks. They probably wouldn't break through like tier 2 or anything, but I could definitely see it being like people want to play this card and make it work as fast as possible.
Yeah. Like in Hearthstone, and I believe it's also in Legends of Runeterra, like the fact that he cannot attack or block, if he gets silenced, he now is basically an 8/8 that can attack. So like when I know when people play Ragnaros, even if like you are playing against the priest, that's like a class in Hearthstone, something like Tarragon that likes to silence and kind of, you know, stun and things like this. If you silence him, he now becomes basically an 8/8 that can attack and block. So that's like kind of a benefit when it gets silenced, which I think it's very interesting. I've seen it sometimes that basically a priest, or basically the class, like silenced Ragnaros, and the Ragnaros was like, okay, I will hit face for 8 and I win the game.
Oh, absolutely,
so so that's like something a lot of people forget when like playing Ragnaros.
All right. Yeah, no, fair enough. That mechanic does exist in Legends of Runeterra. Yeah, we can hush him, essentially, and then allow him to attack. The thing is, in Legends of Runeterra, the blocker determines like the block target, so Ragnaros would probably get chump blocked more often, so he'd have to have like Overwhelm to translate the damage. But yeah, it'd still be nice to have like an 8/8 beat stick. That's just like a very good stat line in lore as well.
Yeah.
So
what do you think, like, overall in Legends of Runeterra? Like, I also made like the regions that it would be Noxus most likely. So most of the cards like have a region that kind of fits their like either playstyle or how they look like, and if they would fit.
He looks like he'd be a Noxus unit for sure.
Yeah. Just like the fun meme would be like a cinematic where there's like Darius and behind him a Ragnaros arises and destroys everything. That would be, and he would like look and drop his axe, and oh my god, I screwed up.
Oh yeah, Ragnaros would absolutely put Darius down.
So like, what do you think in Runeterra, like overall?
I think he'd probably be like a solid 3 out of 5 if I had to do a star rating. He'd be a nice 3 out of 5. Like an honest card that has a really fun meme strategy. You could probably pair him with Freljord as second region again and play some mana ramping and get him out early. Play War Mothers, get him out early, get multiple of him. And he'd actually be pretty solid. I'd give him a really good like 3 or 3.5.
Yeah. And there's actually a cool thing, like most cards, or basically all the cards that we will be reviewing here are only in Wild, which means that they are in Eternal. But Ragnaros, there is actually a spell, 5 mana legendary spell for Shaman, that's something like Blightwater, or I don't know how to pronounce it, the region, kind of. And it makes transform your unit into Ragnaros the File Lord. You get overloaded too. That means that next turn you will lose 2 mana crystals for only that turn. So you kind of like cheat out. So like kind of cheat him out for 5 mana. You transform, let's say, a 1/1 into an 8/8. But yeah, there's the downside that next turn you don't have, let's say, 6 mana, but you have only 4. But he is actually like able to be in standard.
Oh,
So
that's
like,
really
a cool
interesting.
thing.
Yeah, I could definitely see that with like the mana cheating working over there too. Okay. So if I had to guess how powerful he is in Hearthstone, like I would say right now, just like basic Ragnaros is probably, I don't know. I think he's been power crept over the years because I know he used to be in the game since like the beginning. I think he's probably like more on the mid side.
Yeah, he's like last time I seen Ragnaros was 2 years ago, and I'm also counting the fact that I didn't really see even the legendary spell. I would say that now he's like 1 out of 5 stars in Wild.
Yeah.
Like he's too expensive because like in Hearthstone when you play Eternal, aka Wild, the games last maximum of 8 turns. Like on turn 8, either you win or the enemy wins. There's like no way that both of you are alive.
Right, that makes sense.
99%. So if he would be cheaper and let's say have cheaper like stats, maybe he would be played, but I still doubt it.
We have Shudderwock here, a 9 mana 6/6 from Bilgewater. So his stat line is a little bit weak. He's probably going to have a very powerful effect. Let's see. On play, repeat all other play effects from cards you played this game. Targets chosen randomly. Ooh, okay. So I think in Hearthstone, he repeats battle cries, right?
Yeah, he repeats battle cries, exactly.
Interesting. So on play effects, I'm trying to think of a few powerful ones off the top of my head. It'd be kind of cool to see like Frostbite stuff with this. Like funnily enough, you could probably do like Sejuani and Ash and Shudderwock, like have some kind of like 2/2/2 combination, and then just do like a big AoE Frostbite. That way Ash is leveled, and then a lot of things are not able to block. And Shudderwock basically just did like a turn 9, essentially like a board clear type effect, because then you get to attack. So that's really cool. I'm just thinking about that off the top of my head. Level up, you've played 10 different units this game. That is really interesting because now you have to do like some deck building, right? You have to do some really interesting deck building, make sure you have enough units to actually play a unique amount of them. But if you do that, you are rewarded with really fancy, dapper looking Shudderwock here.
Exactly.
Is he at like the gamble table? What is this? It looks like he's at a casino.
He's at the gamble table, and his like full name is Gentleman Shudderwock.
That's so
like,
cool.
If you search Gentleman Shudderwock, they actually made this card, and it's a skin, I believe, in a game mode, Battlegrounds, or I'm not sure if he's like, but I know this art actually is made by Hearthstone, and it's actually in the game.
Oh, he's such a dapper boy. I love him. Okay, so he becomes a 7/7 that says, when I'm summoned, repeat all other play effects from cards you've played this game, targets chosen randomly. Okay, so he just gets the stat increase. So we're not really playing him to level, we just want to use his effect one time as like a quick one and done, and boom.
Well, if you read it again, when I'm summoned, that means that if you use like the 3 mana spell, I think from Shadow Isles, like destroy a friendly minion, summon 2 ephemeral, I don't know how to pronounce it, copies of it, it would trigger twice, like all the play effect.
Okay,
so
same with like
that was like the main idea.
Yeah, if you summon him more, then you get more. Okay. I feel like that's probably going to enter the realm of redundancy. You probably only need to do his effect once. Yeah, you can play him and do like Soul Cleave and stuff, but I feel like if you do it like the first time, that's probably enough to win the game outright, because replaying play effects can be very powerful. So I think that's actually a good thing that can keep him a little bit more on the strong side, because he's very costly. Doing this for 9, like, you need to have like a game-winning play, right? Or like the effect needs to be super good if you're going to play this for 9. So I think that's actually really fair that it's like way better level 1, and like the level 2 is kind of just like, yeah, on the side. So
yeah,
there could be, like, this is a lot like Ragnaros, where there's probably going to be some cool gimmicky decks that can come up from it, but nothing that like immediately comes to mind. So if he was in Legends of Runeterra right now with this effect, he'd probably be, I think he'd be weaker than Ragnaros. I'd say a 2 or a 2.5 at most.
That's interesting, actually. I played Runeterra definitely not as much as you did, but now that I think about it, I don't really remember any powerful like play effects, because let me just get straight to the point. How good do you think he is currently in Hearthstone?
Oh no.
Yeah, that's what I want to know, and then I can explain more.
So
how good currently?
Okay, I played Hearthstone like a long time ago, and I remember there was a Shudderwock deck. It was Shudderwock Shaman, I believe, and it had this really gimmicky combo of like Mosquito and then like the chained up guys that summon copies of themselves, and then Shudderwock would summon it was really janky, okay? So, and that was a very, very specific situation that needed to have all the stars aligned for Shudderwock to work. I'm assuming that combo either doesn't work anymore or is just borderline terrible. So I would say Shudderwock is probably unplayable in Hearthstone. That's my guess.
Well, to be honest, compared to Ragnaros, Shudderwock is actually, like, compared to him, he's like a great card. Because there like, I haven't seen him that much, but I, from now on, now, like, let's say every like few weeks, I see on YouTube this insane combo, as you are saying. But maybe you were playing it a long ago time. But there's this combo where you play Shudderwock, but before him you play a minion that summons, like, you know, copies, how you said. But there is a legendary minion, I don't know his name currently, but he has a battle cry, return all other minions, aka units, to your hand. They cost 1 mana crystal.
Ooh.
So you basically play him, and then you play Shudderwock. Shudderwock then copies himself on board. You return 2 copies or more in your hand that cost 1 mana crystal. And then you have either an effect like deal 3 damage to an enemy hero, restore 3 health to your hero, or you have like other crazy effects that basically, when you play, like, it's the moment where when you play Shudderwock and you like survive to turn 10, where you can play 2 other Shudderwocks that again, like, you know, double the amount, and you can play more and more. So in theory you can play 10 Shudderwocks on turn 10 because they cost 1. If you get to that point, most likely your opponent is dead. But compared to other decks that are in Wild, yeah, Shudderwock isn't that much played. But it's actually a cool like combo. I like enjoy when I see it on YouTube. I see the Shudderwock combo. I'm just watching it to see what people came up with this time.
Oh yeah, he's all about the memes and dreams.
Yeah. He's like not meta breaking at all. But like, if you play him, it's just fun to see like the madness, and the fact that its targets chosen randomly makes it even more funnier. Yeah. So overall, how you said, he's not that good. I would still believe, in my opinion, that he's a bit better than Ragnaros in Wild, but not that much better.
Right.
If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
And this one is a spicy one.
Yeah,
I see. Is a spicy one.
5 mana 5/5 from Demacia, Loatheb. So right off the bat, he has Garen stats, which is good enough to already be played. On play here, enemy spells cost 5 more next turn. Sheesh. Oh, that's really interesting. This actually is a perfect card for Demacia, because Demacia right now has anti-spell mechanics like Mage Seeker Jr., Suppression, stuff like that. Loatheb would fit right in. So yeah, I think we should put this in right now. Let's go. Because like I like anti-spell strategies. So enemy spells cost 5 more next turn. That's actually really strong. Just a nice on-play effect as a 5/5. I think he'd be a little bit better if he had a keyword like tough or something to go with this, or if his level up is really strong. So let's take a look at that. It says, I've seen your opponent play a singular spell. That's got to be like one of the easiest level up conditions I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. 5/6/6. For the rest of the game, enemy spells cost 1 more, up to 10. No, this card's broken.
Yeah.
This card's broken. Yeah. Loatheb would... Okay, the only decks that would be played in Legends of Runeterra, if Loatheb was in there, would be Loatheb decks. This is the most broken thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I love this.
Like, yeah. Like, if we look on the like level up effect, I like took the idea because there's nothing like level up effects in Hearthstone. Like for those Hearthstone players watching this, like if you would have a legendary minion and you would play him, he would have a special quest that if you complete, he gets better. Like the legendary gets better. That's basically level up. So, but unfortunately, there's nothing like this in Hearthstone. So I needed to come up with these, you know, level up things. And I took the inspiration from Mordekaiser. When he attacks, you like steal, if you like for the rest of the game, if you slay a unit, you drain 1 health from the enemy nexus. So I kind of took this idea and I needed to add up like the last bracket, like up to 10 mana, because let's just be honest, that would kind of ruin most decks.
Oh, absolutely, because since it's an attack effect, that means it can stack. So every time you attack with Loatheb, it's going to keep increasing. So if you pull it off once, that's like expected result. You're really happy with it. If you attack twice with Loatheb, the opponent just can't play the game anymore, essentially. You just blow the game wide open. And that's kind of like the same with Mordekaiser. It's like, you're happy with getting it once. If you get it twice, it's like, okay, wow, GG. So yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I like this guy, and I like his art too. I like that he's like this little swamp monster. He's kind of cute in like an ugly way.
Yeah. So how you said, if I'm correct, it would be completely broken in Runeterra.
This is like 10 out of 5 stars. This would be one of the best cards in the game.
Like, let's just look at it. Like, let's be real. If he would, for example, wouldn't have a level up effect, for some reason it would be not a champion, but it would be, let's say, a unit, and you could have like 3 copies. How good do you think he would be if like he couldn't level up just with the play effect?
Much less good, actually. Having the spell increase for just 1 turn, the opponent can like bypass that, just play units for the turn, not really care about the spells. If they're doing it on like their attack turn, they really don't have to care about playing a spell. I think it's like the level up is what makes Loatheb good here for sure.
Yeah. So, and now how do you think he's good in Hearthstone? Like, he's a wild card, aka in Eternal. How good do you think he is?
Loatheb is probably... So, is he also a 5/5?
Yeah, like the stats and cost is and the effect is exactly the same as in Hearthstone. Like all the cards that I made here, they have the same stats and the same cost.
Okay.
And the same effect, basically.
All right, then I'd say...
only the level up effect is just made by me, like what it could be.
Right.
But overall, like when the card is not leveled up, that's exactly how it looks in Hearthstone, and the effect, cost, and everything is exactly the same.
Okay. I would think Loatheb is pretty good, but just no one plays him. I know he's like one of the older cards, so I feel like there's just no room for him in like any deck. So he's just chilling in most people's collection, or they've dusted him for some other more impactful legendary, is my guess.
Yeah, the power creep is just incredible, and there is a 2-mana spell for it's like a dual class card spell. That means that it's like, for example, like Morgana, she's Demacia and Tarragon.
Yeah.
So there is a spell for 2 mana crystals. It's for Demacia, it would be, and it would be for the Frost region. What was the name? I forgot.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. My pronunciation is terrible. Yeah, that's that region, and it has a spell effect. Your opponent's spells cost 5 more next turn, and it's like a rare card. That's like one of the newer cards, and that card doesn't see much play. So that kind of says a lot. Yeah. And the fact that in like Hearthstone you can have only 1 copy of each legendary card, but in Hearthstone you have 3 copies. So essentially, you can like have only one Loatheb in your deck, but the spell, the 2 mana cost spell, you can have 2 copies of it, meaning that it's a lot better, but it still doesn't seem play, so that kind of says a lot.
Yeah.
Quick reminder: there was no card art for the level up, so the art is the same. So just so you know.
All right, so Zilliax is staying the same art in both forms. All good. I mean, he's perfect as is. That's why.
Yeah.
All right, so he's a
Exactly,
5-mana
it's beautiful.
3/2 from P&Z, and I see we have a tech little tag up there at the top. That's his tribe, which means like he's good with Heimerdinger type stuff. There's some cards in the game that buff tech, so we're getting into like some more synergistic cards here, which I'm liking.
Exactly.
He has Barrier and Lifesteal, which is I don't like Lifesteal. I'm an aggro player, just for context. So this is like Hunter seeing something that has like, you know, a Lifesteal type effect. Because I played like the equivalent of like a Face Hunter type of deck in Legends of Runeterra. All right, so it says on play starts a free attack. Wait, that's kind of dastardly for 5 mana. 5 mana free attack, and it can also attach to a tech. Oh, interesting. So can it attach to a tech and then that tech free attacks? Is that how that works?
So like the play effect, you can it's called magnetize in Hearthstone. It's the same keyword as attach, and you basically can attach him to any tech you want, and that tech can do like a free attack. In Hearthstone, it's called Rush, and it cannot attack really the hero, but if he wouldn't have the free attack thing, he would be kind of useless.
Right.
So I needed to like add it there.
Oh, I see. That's really interesting. So there's a tech card. Let me actually look this up. His name is Hextech Handler. Now, he was really broken earlier on, like last year, and he had like quick attack. He had like all this kind of stuff. He's been nerfed a couple times, but I'm trying to think about if we had the Hextech Handler in his prime, how good would Zilliax be with that kind of deck, with like Heimer Jace? And the answer is absolutely broken. That's such a strong card, strong effect, and strong tribe to all be a part of in that deck's prime. Now, it has been nerfed a few times, and I think Zilliax coming in would like add some flavor to it, maybe revitalize it a bit, but I don't know how strong it'd be now, right? So that's kind of like the internal issue I'm having. But let's take a look at his level 2. Hey, maybe my opinion will change right quick. If you've played 5 different techs this game, which that should be very easy to do in Legends of Runeterra, he will become a 4/3, still has the Barrier Lifesteal. On play, starts a free attack, can attach attack, and also grant me Barrier each turn, and that's also going to apply to his attached attack. This is insane.
Exactly.
That's insane. Because what you want to do with this one is put him on the elusive turret, and then you have yourself a nasty little like 2-card combo that can win you the game straight up. So Zilliax would be absolutely devious for like a more mid-rangey try to kill the opponent Heimer Jace. It would transform the deck from like control to like a straight up mid-range beatdown with elusive, and it'd be absolutely insane, my friend. It would be insane. Yeah. This is definitely like not as strong as Loatheb, because I think Loatheb was just the best card I've ever seen in my life. But Zilliax is definitely a 5 out of 5. Yeah. He would make a splash in LoR. He'd be very good.
I just want to ask you, when I was designing this card, like the level up thing, I was thinking, how good do you think he would be with like the Shen barrier like deck?
Ooh, that'd be interesting. He'd be so the problem with that is his region is P and Z, and the barriers are primarily in Demacia and Ionia, and they're kind of forced to be played together, otherwise you're only playing half of the deck. So I don't know if Zilliax could actually make the deck better, but it definitely would promote like a different play style for the deck.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you want to play like the Sea Monsters deck with Maokai and Nautilus, you need to basically play Blight Water and like Shadow Wilds together.
Exactly.
Kind of,
Yes.
But it would be still interesting if he would be like played with Shen. I was like thinking about it.
It would be cool.
Like the fact that you like you get barrier each turn, that would kind of like make it interesting. That's what I will say. And how good do you think Zilliax is in Hearthstone? And I want to just mention, he is still in Standard. He will be rotated out of Standard like on March, the same as in Legends of Runeterra when you have like rotations. He will be rotated out. But how good do you think he is now?
Okay. So I have a really interesting question for your question, if that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's absolutely okay.
How good are mech decks in general? Because I think Zilliax kind of depends on how good mech decks are, not so much how good Zilliax is.
Well, to be honest, mech decks just suck.
Okay.
So that kind of answers also the question.
That does answer my question. All right.
Yeah.
For my final answer, for $1 million, Zilliax sucks.
Yeah. Like, I know, yeah, exactly. But I know back like then, like 1 or 2 years ago, you didn't really need to play tech. You just played him like a cool like card in your deck that just has lifesteal and barrier, and it also has something like taunt, like that's a keyword in Hearthstone, but I didn't know how to transform it, and that basically means that you cannot attack the enemy hero, aka the enemy nexus, while this minion is alive.
Right.
So like you would need to block, like you would need to attack this minion and then you kill him, and then you can attack the nexus. But there's like nothing really similar, like a keyword in Legends of Runeterra, so I couldn't really like add it there.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay. So yeah, that's the thing. Like in Legends of Runeterra, every unit kind of has taunt because blocker gets to determine where things go.
Yeah.
But also conversely, all the units also have charge because they can attack the turn they're played. And, like no one has summoning sickness, so that makes it kind of interesting and makes it a little bit difficult to translate a taunt type effect. So I get that. Yeah, having barrier is actually a really good comparison because when someone plays a barrier unit on defense, it kind of deters the attacker. They don't want to attack into a barrier and lose one of their units, so it kind of works. It kind of still works.
Yeah. Like the thing that like on average when players play Zilliax, you basically heal your hero by 3 health because you attack, you lose the barrier, and then you like again attack and lifesteal. So you on average you get like 6 health. You restore. But the thing, I just correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm correct, in Legends of Runeterra, when you play a barrier and the turn ends, the unit with the barrier loses its barrier. Am I correct?
That is correct. Yes, it goes away round end.
But in Hearthstone, the barrier lasts for the rest of the game. So until you like attack the unit with it's called Divine Shield. It will still have the barrier until like it takes damage and it prevents basically damage. So like the effect is still same, but it doesn't go away on round end.
Okay.
Yeah, but overall he's like not really played. Back then it was a cool card, but yeah, he's not played at all.
Yeah.
And now we have the most spiciest one.
Oh, I'm intrigued by this. We're seeing Zephyrs the Great. A 2-mana 3/2 from Shurima. On play, if your deck has no duplicates, wish for the perfect card. So if you play Singleton, you get wish for the perfect card. What does that mean?
Wish for the perfect card means that when you play him, the game analyzes your hand, how many cards you have in your deck, what you have on your board, your opponent, what they have on board, and like how many cards they have in their hand and deck. And from all the cards that exist in the game, it will calculate the win percentage and give you option of 3 best cards that will like give you the highest like possible like win rate like at the end of the game. So if you play him, let's say on turn 2, and you have let's say some spell mana, it will be okay. I will give you a ramp card so you can play it next turn and ramp. Or if like you play it and your opponent has a huge minion, and you are let's say you are on turn 8 and you play him, so you have 6 mana, it will give you vengeance and you will kill that giant minion. So the game analyzes the whole situation of the game without cheating, of course. It doesn't tell you like what cards. It doesn't calculate what cards your opponent has in their hand or deck, or what cards are in your deck. Basically, what you know as a player. It analyzes what are the 3 best cards that would like have the highest percentage of you winning the game, winning the game basically.
Whoa, that's such an intelligent system. So here's what would happen a lot of the time, and I just thought of this, and this would be really funny. You'd probably save Zephyrs for the late game, because I'm assuming the perfect card can come from any region, right? You said like
any
it
card
can just show
that
you anything.
was ever released.
Oh
Yeah,
my
anything,
god.
absolutely anything,
Oh my god. So here's what would
absolutely
happen.
anything.
You would play like a go wide deck, right? And just have a bunch of dudes on the board, play Zephyrs, and it would show you champion strength. And then you would just rally
Yeah,
and give
yeah,
everything +4. That's what it would do. It would be smart enough to
yeah,
realize, here's champion strength. Go ahead. Win the game, son. And that
yeah,
that'd be
yeah,
so awesome. But I love the
yeah.
flexibility of it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like, the algorithm isn't perfect, so
Hmm.
I know that, but it's rare. Like, it doesn't happen that much times. But let's say your enemy nexus has 1 health, or not 1 health. Let's say 2 health,
Hmm.
and the opponent has a big minion, and the algorithm like looks okay. I will give you vengeance instead of like cream pie, or I don't know, like the 1 mana spell, deal 1 damage and get another.
Yeah,
So
pie
it
toss.
isn't perfect. Let's
Yeah.
just be honest, but it can give you absolutely any card that was released in the game. Any card.
I like it. That's really spicy. Again, I
Yeah.
really like the flexibility, being able to play it early, and then you can get like a ramp card, like you said, play it in the mid game, get removal, or maybe a premium unit to keep
Yeah.
your snowball going. Late game, you find some win cons. That's really sick. Okay.
Yeah.
So he levels up if you play the perfect card, though. So whenever you get the card resolved that he generates, and he becomes a 4/3. When I'm summoned, if your deck had no duplicates, wish for the perfect card. So now we can get into that copy type mechanic again with like the Soul Cleave. We can Harrowing him back, stuff like that, and then we get more perfect cards on all of his summons. That is insane. This would probably be like an auto include for any Shurima strategy, since they would want to run him at least one. Like, I don't care what happens if they're playing Akshan Sivir, doesn't matter. Throw a Zephyrs in there, just because you're going to get this effect a lot of the time. You know what's also really cool about this card? Being Shurima. Shurima is host to the predict mechanic. Predict will increase the consistency of Zephyrs being in your hand, so you can run him at 1 and then predict into him. And that's really cool. Like, this is actually just a really well designed card that everyone would want to play.
Yeah, it's also the most toxic card when you play against it, let's be real.
Oh, that's perfect. That'll make Legends or Runeterra players really want to play him then. They love being toxic.
Yeah. But I need to remind you of the downside that you cannot have duplicates in your deck to make this effect work. And I learned it the hard way. Like, I think like 5 times I played the card and I realized I had like duplicates in my deck. Let's just be. So I played it and then I instantly surrendered.
Yeah, okay, that's completely fair. That will hurt the consistency, but again, luckily we're in Shurima, so Predict can help you just find the card that you need, even though you're only running one of each. So I think his region kind of like solves the problem a little bit more than how it would in Hearthstone. So here's my take. No matter what, Zephyrs would be better in LoR as this card than in Hearthstone. So whatever he is in Hearthstone, add like 1 or 2 stars, and that's Zephyrs' score in LoR.
Whoa. Like there's like this archetype, or I would call it archetype. It like where you have no duplicates in your deck, and there are like multiple cards like this guy. There's a card if your deck has no duplicates, fully heal your Nexus, or if your deck has no duplicates, add 2 random dragons to your hand, they cost 0. Or if you're a new card, actually, if your deck has no duplicates, it's High Noon, and that means that it's like the most toxic card. Let's be real,
it's High Noon.
And High Noon, and it removes all enemy minions. It like obliterates them, so the death rattle effect doesn't work. It removes. It costs 9 mana, and it's a hero. You have hero power. It's not in Hearthstone, and armor is also not there. So let's just get kind of, if it would be in the game, heal your Nexus by 5 for 9 mana. Or is it 9? I don't know. It's like Reno, the Lone Ranger. I don't know. I will check it out how much it costs. But if your deck has no duplicates, it's High Noon. It removes all enemy cards. Like, it obliterates them. The threat effect doesn't work. And for the next turn, your opponent can have only 1 unit on board. You cannot have more units. So it's like kind of that you can have only 1 unit. And, you know, you are like screwed for 1 turn.
Right.
So I will check how much it costs. Yeah, so how good do you think actually this card is in Hearthstone? It's in Wild, it's not in like Standard. How good do you think it is?
Well, if there's other cards that synergize with no duplicate and you can kind of make a whole, like you said, archetype out of it, he's
Hmm.
probably, I would say, a nice solid 4. I'm gonna say he's like definitely better than mid. That's my guess.
So, like, to be honest, I played Wild, like, I would say, like, recently, like, 20 games, and I haven't encountered him a single time. I don't know if people, like, forgot about him, or he doesn't, or he's, like, not such a good card.
Hmm.
I'm not sure. I think he's, like, if I would play him, I would say it's a really solid card. I
Yeah,
wouldn't say it's, like, 5 stars out of 5 stars,
right.
but I would say he's, like, mid or better.
Yeah,
Definitely not under, like, mid. That's what
yeah,
I would say.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So I just found the card. It's an 8 mana card, the
Mm,
thing, the High Noon. So
hmm.
just so you know. And it's
Interesting.
basically like in the past month, the game was basically the first one who can play this card wins the game.
Oh,
So that was
I
kind of
love that kind of
interesting.
meta. Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it.
This was a lot of fun. My favorite one of these 5 was definitely Loatheb. I'd love to see a champion based around the anti-spell shenanigans that Demacia is already good at. Again, make sure to watch the rest of this collab over on Loltrol's channel, link in the description below as well. Thank you so much for watching and have a good one. Laters!